553.33 meters. This structural masterpiece is quite simply the tallest building on the planet, possibly the universe. Not surprisingly, the American Society of Civil Engineers proclaimed it as one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. It is a one-of-a-kind marvel of civil engineering. For the 1,537 workers who toiled for 40 months to complete it, it was the experience of a lifetime.
Well, it had to be the best tower in the world.
This thing has got to be a piece of sculpture. It's got to be something that people love in Toronto because they're going to look at it every day of the year.
We figured, well, we'll be the highest for 10 years, 5 years. It's 30 years now, and there's nobody has topped it yet.
Every country has its architectural trademark. For Canadians, the CN Tower epitomizes engineering taken to the height of excellence. For thinking that the CN Tower was conceived as a spectacular world-class tourist attraction. It sure is now, but the tower was originally designed with one purpose in mind: television. Back in the 60s, Toronto, like many international cities, was going through a building boom. The problem was the new skyscrapers blocked out TV signals. The solution? Build a transmission tower that would stand above all other buildings, which meant it was going to be extremely tall. And if you're going to make it that tall, why not?
Well, it was a natural thing to think about the tallest tower in the world. In those days, that's what you did. Those were the days. It was just after Expo. People were doing things. Canada was in an exciting time.
Constructing the world's tallest tower presented just one slight problem. Nothing on this scale had ever been attempted.
You can build an airplane or a car, you know, you have history. You have last year's model to look at, and you have lots of testing. We had no precedence here. We were building something that had to work from day one.
The first challenge was provided by Mother Nature: wind, a major headache for designers of tall buildings. Before anything was built, models were tested in a wind tunnel. After months of research and refining, they came up with a design that would withstand gusts of more than 300 kilometers an hour. The key element was the shape of the tower. The broad base, tapering up to a slender shaft, creates a low center of gravity. While it allows for some movement, it's not about to topple over. But that's not the only thing holding the tower in place. Using a process called post-tensioning, steel cables are installed right into the concrete. From the foundation all the way up through the shaft, the cables are stretched taut to stiffen the structure. In all, more than 120 kilometers of steel cable are utilized. The tower is one unified, rigid object, anchored solidly to the base. It's designed to withstand any and all natural phenomena, including wind. The window cleaning crew knows all about wind conditions in the CN Tower. If it's above 15 knots, they simply don't work.
I always look down. It's just this thrill of knowing that you're so high up in the air and see everybody down there. I always look down. It's a habit with me, though.
With the design elements in place, the nuts and bolts work begins. February 1973. Earth is removed at the base to locate solid bedrock. Although the tower weighs over 100,000 metric tons, the Y-shaped foundation penetrates only 6 meters into the rock. The shaft of the tower is designed to be one massive block of concrete, which means that it has to be poured in one single operation. As if that isn't enough of a challenge, the shape of the tower changes, tapering as it moves up. A fixed mold won't work. Engineers devise a flexible framework called a slip form.
So it would slowly rise, and it didn't stop rising. It moved inch by inch all the way up to the top, concrete being poured in. The legs, in the meantime, were being moved inward as you went up.
Hydraulic jacks thrust the slip form ever upward. Average speed, 22.86 centimeters, or 9 inches per hour.
We have to make sure that this concrete has the right temperature, the right consistency, the right air content. Otherwise, it was rejected. It has to be just perfect. Because if it sets fast, then your form cannot move. If it's too watery, then it will fall off the form and cannot support itself.
For 24 hours a day, they continue pouring the concrete. It takes 8 months to complete the job. Incidentally, while the CN Tower's shaft is solid concrete, on the inside, it is actually hollow. This is where the water pipes, power lines, and maintenance facilities are kept. Balance a 7-story building on a needle, 335 meters above the ground. With 2 observation decks, 2 restaurants, service facilities, and the all-important broadcasting equipment, the main pod is the heart of the CN Tower. The framework for the pod consists of more than 600 tons of steel. Wisely, most of the assembly is carried out in a safe place, on the ground. By now, they have to get the whole thing up top. Once again, hydraulic jacks are employed to do the donkey work. Centimeter by centimeter, the 300-ton skeleton inches its way up. Working non-stop, it takes 6 full days to complete the journey. Once in place, a concrete platform is created to allow room for the iron workers to perform. It may look scary, and it is, but uppermost in everyone's mind is one thing: safety.
A lot of gagging up there, thinking about other things, gardening or whatever. You're very much focused on what you're doing. There's no ifs, buts, or ands about it. We didn't lose a soul. We had all hands accounted for. We're all said and done, and that's a very, very nice thing, very good thing.
Iron workers are a tough bunch. Despite the Canadian winter, they brave on and keep to schedule. Now here's a place not too many people get to see. This is the radome, and this is where the all-important television and radio transmitters are housed. Remember, this is the reason the tower was built in the first place. What may look like white sheets is actually a tough fabric called Teflon-coated fiberglass membrane. It allows the signals to get through, but keeps inclement weather out. The fabric is held in place by a series of fans that keep it inflated. So it is, in effect, like being inside a giant balloon. The CN Tower was supposed to have 2 observation decks. The upper deck was classic design.